We're back again with yet another interesting and exciting edition of Uncover. My name is Modifa, and even today we bring to you something exciting. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's Walanda TV Studio, and also follow us on Facebook, that's Walanda Studio, so that you're notified every time we have something new. My name is Modifa, and today we're getting into the world of depression. Let me make mention that this is the Suicide Prevention Month, September, so there'll be a lot of sensitization. There is actually a lot of sensitization on this particular topic. So we'll just get into the world of depression, the world of suicide, and just unveil what really happens in there. Joining me is a great guest, yes, and he goes by the name Tresford. I hope you're doing good.
Yes, I'm doing good.
All right. What I know about you is that you are a gospel artist. So, other than that, I know you are an author and a radiographer.
Yes.
What more is there to know about you?
I also do movie script writing.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's it. But there's a lot of things that I do.
Okay, so
But
movie
this is
script
just
writing.
specifically, and also a mental health advocate.
Mental health advocate.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so let's just dive right into it. I know many people that have committed suicide. Usually, it comes from a place of a lot of inner battles. You know, a lot of depression. Maybe we should call it stress and all that. But what really happens to a person when they're depressed?
Well, a lot of things goes in their mind or in their life that what put them in that state. Um, so most cases you find that in an environment where you are staying, being in a constant environment where you are not appreciated, where a lot of things going around you does not support your vision or bring illumination to what you're doing, puts you feel more inferior, isolated, running away from exhibiting your potential. So I think when you are found in most of these places and you feel like you are not heard, one of these things begins to pull you to make you feel like you're not worth living.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you begin to question your existence. Like, why am I here?
Am I here?
Why is this thing? Am I adding value? So this is what happens most of the time when people reach to that stage.
I like that you mentioned the feeling unworthy and all that. And I'm also prone to think that there are certain people who are really, really unworthy. Okay, there's nobody unworthy. But you know those people who literally just live their lives, they don't care about what people think about them, and they're happy. So I'm thinking, is it that many people who suffer depression are people who feel like they've got something to lose, people who want to be meaningful to society, are those the ones more prone to getting depressed?
No, anyone can get depressed. It depends. Depression comes from a lot of sources. It could be family, marriage, relationship. This is where most of the time you are cut off from the purpose of your life. This is where depression it's in. So this is where you are trying to do something. You are trying to show something, but yet you can't see much appreciation coming in. Then within this thing you begin to see yourself unworthy. It's not actually like every person that goes into depression they felt unworthy. Some of the people that go through depression into leading to suicide, you find they were doing fine. They were just doing okay, but they couldn't handle maybe a certain thing, a friction that came along their way. So this is where their mindset wasn't add up to that. When we talk about depression or suicide, it's not a sudden thing to happen. It's something like you mentioned. There's certain people you say no, they are living up to it, even if anything. They are also going through a depression to an extent whereby they're living in denial. To an extent whereby when it hits, they just go. They just decide and they die. You find that, like I described in the writing that I've wrote a book. So you'll find that it's more like liver cirrhosis. And it's not just something that happens instantly. There are people who have been like introduced to alcohol at a early young stage, but you find they have no issues with liver cirrhosis. But you find that as they have been drinking constantly,
Very
Later
true.
on, the liver gives up, says, you know what, I can't take it anymore. And this is where scarring of the liver happens. So you find that someone can be walking, you think that they are okay. But in the process, what is happening? Something is eating them slowly. This is where we begin to say, no, he was just fine. Why would you make a decision? He was happy. We see him growing. But the thing is that something was eating slowly, slowly. And they kept, rejecting it. And this is where I think something I can call addiction creeps in. Where people try by all means to numb what they are feeling by supplanting it with other feelings than handling what they are facing. Yeah,
Great.
they tend to shift, instead of handling what is affecting you today. What do you do? Let me just go out, let me find this, let me do these things, supplanting what is killing you.
Wow.
At the end of the day, what happens?
And as you're explaining, I was also thinking suppressing this it could be like the easiest way to get away with it, but having to face it and deal with it is what my concern is right now. If you have a situation that has come, something that you didn't expect, it could be a death of a loved one,
Yes.
or plans that are not working, how then are you supposed to deal with that? If we're not going to just say, maybe let me just think about something else, or maybe just go and get drunk, or maybe let me marry somebody else because I've been
I've been
divorced. Let
divorced,
me just
yes,
marry
you want
somebody
to
else
move
and
on.
forget about it. So how does one really face that and deal with that?
First of all, you need to, there's something that I call self-actualization, or something which has been there, away from the Maslow hierarchy of we look at self-actualization as actually someone who's trying to become happy with what is around them. Now in this case, this is where you define your purpose. This is where you put up yourself to say, you know what, even if this comes, this is how I'm going to handle it. It's not going to distract me, to take me away from achieving this. Like I've always said, you need to your standard should be your competition. Why? Because you begin to see yourself to say, I was here, now I need to be here. In as much as you are facing certain things along your way, what do you say? I still have to get there.
Wow.
So when you are focused to say, does my success matter? Does this matter? What do you begin to do? You begin to compare with the rest of the world. But when you look at yourself, say, where I am today, was it where I am today?
Yeah.
Then this shift your mind. In as much, challenges are the most important thing. That's what I'm saying. Do not run away from the problem. Face it. As you are facing it, you are training your system. It's like what I have described. It's like a vaccine. What a vaccine does is just train your system. So in case this disease comes, what do? You handle it.
Yeah.
So many people, I think, we need to take time with ourselves. And taking time to yourself does not mean you begin to sit quietly at home. This is when you begin to capacity enlargement. Feed yourself with books. Read about what you want to engage in. It's business. When you lead business, you do not only lead about how to make profit. Lead about also how to make losses. This will teach you a lot, because this will make you to be prepared to say, you know what, this thing that I'm going to face, it has the advantage and disadvantage. And that's something you learn in commerce in high school.
Yeah.
Every topic you introduce to, you learn about advantage and disadvantage. So make sure you learn more about the disadvantage of everything, and
Great.
it actually help you along the way.
Can you know that somebody is depressed just by looking at them? If you get to a certain stage, can you really know? Say, I think Modifa must be depressed.
Well, actually, depression doesn't show. It doesn't show. But there are certain things that you try to track, and you can actually definitely say, okay, there's something going on. But most of the time, we do not know how truly someone, that thing is affecting them. This is the situation whereby you and I, Modify, having a conversation. We are used to each other. And then all of a sudden, you begin to talk about something. And then I won't be able to know exactly what you are going through, but I'll be able to understand and say, okay, but where is Modify deriving this from? Then if I'm not paying much attention to ask you, this is what we have. We have a society whereby they're like, they don't care about,
Yeah.
dialogue. Most of the person,
Usually,
they
the
don't care.
Africans,
We don't.
Zambians don't care about mental health.
Exactly.
Maybe it could be because many people feel like they've experienced a lot of things. If you talk to them to say, okay, guys, I'm depressed, my life is not going forward. The question they ask is, are you the only one whose life is not going forward? Everybody, we've all been there, and I think that's how we belittle some of these issues. Okay, I got to read your book, Anatomy of Hurt. And this is a whole suicide story where there's the character Julia, who was a firstborn daughter and is not performing well. And she's being blamed for literally everything because she's dependent on her siblings and family, and she's not able to stand on her own. And suddenly, the stress comes in, people calling her useless, unworthy, and eventually she kills herself. She ends her own life. And I just want to know what really prompted you to write The Anatomy of Hurt?
Well, so Anatomy of Ed, it's something that I started working on last year, and not actually like quite like last year. That's when I started like writing it. But there was that time here in our country where we could see a lot of young people, failing from school. We just they've committed suicide, they've done this. That was overwhelming, and I was like, okay, let me see these things, because I am coming from a family where I have stayed with stepmoms, and then I could constantly being in an environment where you feel pressure from this angle and that angle. So uh, I just felt within to say most of these things that people are going through, a lot of people have gone through it. So if we put it out there, someone can be able, like the Anatomy of It, Volume 1, I'm trying to put the reader to feel emotionally how it is in that situation. If you notice, there's so much emotions going around there, more like from the person that is going through it. Like you tend to feel how one gets to, feel under that situation. So, like, in fact, even the prayer of Judy or something that I prayed at some point, you're going through certain things in life. So the inspiration came through when someone called me. She said, "Hey, the weight of what I'm carrying, I think I'm just going to commit suicide." And I go like, I think she needs to hear this. She needs to read something like this, so that at least at the end of the day, life can be preserved. So that was more like, okay, I needed to do something to someone, and I knew that sometimes you can't explain something, but if you put it in a written word, they lead it for themselves, like it will be an encounter for them. They begin to relate their situation with what you have written, so they begin to put themselves, okay, if this is what this person went through, it led to death. Okay, there is more than to me. Yeah, so
That is very true. And how do you think um, a person that is going through a tough moment, what do you really feel is a reason people get to extent to an extent where they kill themselves? You're going through a tough moment, and some people come out of it, others don't. What is it that those that survive these terrible situations and not kill themselves, what really do they exercise? What do they do that those people who end up giving up don't? Because we can be doing the same. I failed my exams. Somebody failed their exams. The other one has also failed, but the other one kills themselves. Why are you killing yourself? What gives others the courage to carry on with life, and what gives others the mind to just give up?
okay. First of all, you find that a lot of people who have come out from that, they understood what they were going through, and then they had, there's something that you begin to tell yourself, say, okay, this has been like a constant thing happening around me. I feel unappreciated. I feel this. I feel that. But how do I live for myself? This is where you begin, to assess yourself. Do my happiness depend on people? Do my worth is only justified when somebody tells me or compliment me? So this is when you begin to find peace within yourself. This is when you begin to find love within yourself. You begin to define love within yourself. You begin to define happiness within yourself. Most of the people, if you tell them, are they happy, they will tell you maybe they are lacking things that justify happiness. But happiness should be defined from what keeps your mind free. You see? And then people begin to tell themselves, say, you know what? I think I'm worth it. I had a dream. I can do this thing. I have the potential to do this thing. Circumstances, yes, it's there and it's breaking me down, but I need to rise up to this stage. Now you find there are those people that fail are people who agree what society or what people tell them. They begin to embrace it. They just, people are covering you with shame, and then what you do next? Okay, it's fine. No, it's fine. Sometimes you need to tell people. You need to shut things before they break you. Somebody's busy, putting you down and everything, and all you do is just sit down. You begin to cry. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to defend you. You have the right to tell your friend, say, hey, you know what? Stop. Even if it's a call from your parent that's saying a lot of words, you have the right to hang it up. It's your phone call. Just say, just hang it. You don't want.
I guess you're useless. Now you're useless and disrespectful.
No, it's not that you are being disrespectful. You are protecting yourself from harm. The one of the most dangerous place of the human being is the mind, because whatever it is, whatever you allow in, begin to shape you. So you must be very much careful by filtering in. In the cells, there's what we call the cell membrane. It knows what's supposed to go in and what's supposed to come out. Even your mind must be able to filter. Out of respect, tell anyone around you, even if it's your guidance, say, hey, you know what? You better shut up. I'm not up for this conversation. You're not being disrespectful. You're being honest with yourself. In as much as when you settle down, talk to them, sit down, say, you know what? Whatever you were doing, I may look like I was being disrespectful, but I was doing that for my peace. I can't handle that. Be honest about yourself. Most of the people who are depressed, they are not honest. Let me just say, Modifa, how are you doing? I'm okay. You just want me to feel that you are okay. You don't want me to see how depressed or how things, whatever I'm doing, which is affecting you. We have this thing, the narrative on the social media. Be nice to people. You don't know what they're going through. How would I know if they keep, pretending?
Fine,
Yeah, they are fine. I'll keep doing whatever I'm doing, not knowing how much I'm affecting them.
I think that's important. I also want to also find out, in a way, a lot of people have become more depressed from opening up. you know I'll be feeling depressed right now, and I decide, okay, let me call somebody and talk to them, and then somebody says, you're bringing me that depressive energy, keep it far away from me. I don't want negativity, you understand, right? I don't want that negativity. Some people will rubbish your problems and feel like you're just being negative, you're being sad, you're being a sadist, and they don't want to associate themselves with that. At times, others will use that scenario, that situation that is depressing you, against you. Maybe you come and open up to say, okay, I went through this very embarrassing situation, and you open up to somebody, and next thing they're telling others, and now you're walking wondering how many people actually know that I went through this. So others just decide to keep to themselves. So who are you supposed to open up to? When are you supposed to open up, and how are you even supposed to open up?
I think this is where we have a lot of problems. Do not make it, something, easy for you to open up to anyone. We have this tendency of saying, no, when I was explaining, she was laughing about it, but at the end of the day, they provided the solution. No, that should not be something you should be settling for. When you're going through something serious, this is something that I always advise people who come to me, say, you don't have to open because you see their people. You begin to assess the level of their, like, there's need of the capacity of the person you're explaining to. You just can't come to me, Modifa, and begin to talk to me about law, and then you expect answers about how things, law can be taken. You just need to seek a lawyer. So even when it comes to me in a medical field, as a radiographer, when you want to ask about your health, about examination that you want to take, I'll be the best person to consult from, because you know that this person is educated in this field, and therefore if I inquire of this thing, they will help me. So one of the most important things, let us also look at one of the most important thing that we're trying to neglect: investing in mental health, which could be books, which could be people. Meet people that you think, not only you think, but you know that this one has the capacity to help me out. Sometimes, it doesn't mean that your parents, they have the capacity to help you. No, they don't.
Sometimes, they are they're the causes of that depression. Yeah.
Exactly. So you need to assess people. That's why we have churches, we have readers at churches, we have mental health organization and everything. You seek counselors from there. Most of these things are free. We don't just utilize them. Most of us, we have used churches just to be prayed for other things, but also the church is also used to help mentally to recover. You find their elders, their church, people who are put in place to help people learn away from this depression. But you find you confide in someone who's your friend, and then looking at your friend, the capacity is just too small. It's just too small. Like they're just like, so what are you thinking? People go through these things, and then you look like
Even me, I went through that.
exactly.
You know.
And then the weight you are feeling cannot be compared to what they are trying to compare you to. But one of the most important thing I think we need to reflect back and begin to also understand the people that we're bringing in close to us. Some of the friends, they don't even help you. They help you to commit suicide at the end of the day. People who want to take you away from the problem by introducing you another problem, which is excitement in the process. They are very bad people. When I feel sad, I'll call this person, we'll go out. They make me feel happy. No, they're not making you happy.
Really?
They're just destroying you. Because after happiness, what comes? You are depressed again. So you need to find people that you can engage in, rational conversation. True conversation. Yeah. A friend is someone that sits down with you and say, you know what, we need to find a solution to this thing. Not somebody who says, you know what, ni life check. It's not.
They're cheating on me. Cheat back.
Exactly. These are the things we are finding. Most people we are finding with a long association.
And that just makes it worse. And I think what I'm getting here is, you need to have people around you that make you look back within.
Yes.
Like sit your feelings down and say, let's talk about this. And others who just come, it's very common actually. Those who come and they seem like they're good friends. They help me distract me from my problems. They buy me beer, they buy me drinks, and immediately I'll be fine. But you really need people that will sit you with your emotions and say, what are you feeling? How can you get over this? What can we do? That is actually very true. Okay, so for somebody at this particular time, they're watching and they're feeling like, I'm depressed. Okay, I feel like I'm in total stress right now. I don't know how to come out of it. What would you really tell them? How can somebody get themselves out of that situation? Anyone that's called you, like that person who called you and said, look, I feel like I just want to end it all. What advice would you really give that person?
Well, the first thing I always try to make them explain how they are feeling. It's very much important how they are being affected, and then also along the process. One thing that people deny in the process of healing is acceptance of them being part of the problem. Is it? So when you are going through something, the question is, what led you to be where you are? And then the next stage, say, how did you find yourself dwelling here?
Have you ever come across people who say, bad luck every time? It's either I'll lose a loved one. Every time something good is going to happen, it's maybe because there's just bad luck that follows me. It's not, that's a silent way of how people run away from taking responsibility.
Yes.
They just blame it on life and on the universe and just say, I think God just doesn't, care for me like he cares for others. I just have bad luck all the time. All my life, I'll meet somebody good, they'll leave me. That running away from accountability and just blaming it on bad luck.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, this is where I was driving at. Mudfa, one of the most neglecting thing people look at is that you're starting something without no knowledge of it. What do you expect? Fail. So you find people, number one, they are starting a relationship. They haven't checked themselves. They haven't read anything about a relationship. And they are going into it whereby they are defining themselves by what people are bringing in, the compliments and everything. Yeah. So you find that people are in those things most of the time by, not finding themselves. One of the most important things, if you know who you are, you will know what you want. But most of the time, people are just doing things for the sake. It's what is being done. Let's start a business. You'll find it. Let's go to work. The Bible says, in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, it says, show yourself as a co-worker. Study the word of God. Show yourself approved, like someone who knows what they're doing. You can't tell me that you want to start something without no knowledge of it. What do you expect? This is why you always say, you know what? This is why I tend to find a bad drug. Bad drug. How do you expect you start a business of which you have no knowledge of? Because you saw someone doing it does not mean you should start. Because someone is in a relationship does not mean you should start. You should sit down. Do I have the capacity here? Do I have the knowledge here? Now you find that a lot of people, let's say, most especially who are broke, who are going through heartbreaks and everything, ask them, did you read anything about this? We are always interested about the good thing. Do you read also the bad thing of this, what you're doing? Is it? We don't want to read about anything. This is just what we do. We want to experience things rather than reading things. This is something that we were taught at the degree level. Most of the time, as a degree level in the medical fields, we endure much on theory. You need to know something at a theory level, how it operates, before you are introduced to the practical side. Many people want to do the practical thing, not knowing why it's done like this. The principle of operation is one of the most important things. Even the Bible highlights it so much on the prodigal son. We always look at him as someone who went astray and then come back for the mercy. But we forget one of the most important things. That young man was admiring what his father had. How do you identify? The scripture says he immediately got his thing. What did he do? He left. He went far away. Okay. That's what someone does. When you are going into a relationship, why can't you seek advice? Why are you doing it alone? Just like the prodigal son. I think I know. Let me go and learn it. What do you expect along the way? You'll be destroyed. And then when you are destroyed, what comes in? No, I think I just face bad. No, you don't. You just get out prematurely.
I'm thinking that is it just natural? We've been doing this since we're how old? In grade 2, we had people that were writing letters to, we're having like a cup of tea. Must I really read about this to have it right? I know somebody might be thinking that way. We've been doing relationships for a long time. It's something that has. My mother, she got married. Did she read a book to get married? All these things. But it is actually necessary.
Okay, I think the question here is, do you think it's worth it going there without knowledge? Because one of the most important things that you should always ask yourself is, do you know what that thing comes with? No, you don't. Do you know how you can assess red flag? Do you know that maybe you are being manipulated? No, you don't. There's a book by Faith Oyedep known as Dating, the Biblical Guide. So one of the most important things that the book introduced, the first statement, it says there are two possible outcomes of a relationship. It's either a breakup or marriage. So now ask yourself, is this person, are we here to build or here to consume? If this thing doesn't ring a bell in your mind, how are you going to assess that they are here to consume or here to build? So it's not about we have been doing it. Ask yourself, have you been doing it lightly or longly? The fact that we have been doing this is something that I learned at Africa Christian University when we were doing critical thinking. They are saying preconceived idea is one of the obstacle to clear thinking. Just because it has been done doesn't mean you should not question it. You should question it. Say, why do people repeat the same thing? I think there's a mistake. We need to revisit it. We need to check through it. And then once you do that, what happens? You begin to come up with something lightly for yourself. Right. Most especially in everything that you're doing, make sure that at the end of the day, your mind, yourself is preserved.
Great. So just taking the necessary precautions, no, this can fail or not. Exactly. The risks involved, and just preparing for that totally. Wow, I think this has been a great conversation, and this is where we actually end this. Any closing remarks, even as we're closing?
Well, my closing remark should be, do not neglect pain in the process of healing. Pain should be something that you are learning from, and not something that is holding you now captive. This is where we have generational traumas, because they went through this and now it has become like a scar. One thing about a scar is that immediately you set your eyes on it, you actually remember who did it. You remember exactly what caused that. So we need to understand that healing alone comes with acceptance, and acceptance comes with learning. Why are you accepting it? You have learned to say, okay, this is what it reads, and how am I going to do? What's my next stage? The next stage is what we call capacity building. You begin now to say, I operated with an outdated data or knowledge. It's now high time I begin to work on new things. And these new things, what are they going to do? They're going to shape you. They're going to guide you. They're going to protect you. So this is something that I would try to tell anyone that is watching this, to say, you know what, take time to yourself. Read books. Engage in one or two things. Be with productive people. For me, I don't care how long we came along, but if you have been produced useless result, I'll cut you off.
I like that. Let's end it there. All right. So I was having a conversation with my guest today, Tresford, who is a mental health activist. He is a radiographer. Also, he is an author and gospel artist. So we just got to touch into this world of depression, and I hope you actually enjoyed that conversation. He has his books, his soft copy books, right, for Anatomy of Hurt. So if you'd actually want that particular book, you can actually get to reach him on your page. What's your page?
Tresford words.
Tresford Words. So just send a message on Tresford Words and you'll be able to have that book available to you. My name is Modifa Kapungo, and until next time, it's goodbye for now.